Hey, what is going on, guys? This is going to be my out-of-box review here for the HGUC Hazel Custom, and I've got to say, despite the fact that this kit originally came out in 2005, this version of it does seem so much better. I don't know. As you guys may have already seen in the past, I have reviewed the Advanced Hazel kit, and that was like the original version of that, where it had the ABS joints in it. And this one, now that all the joint parts, all the gray parts have been replaced, they're no longer in ABS plastic, but they're just in regular KPS, it's polystyrene plastic. The kit feels so much more solid, and it really doesn't feel as dated as I think it did before. So like, if you're the kind of person that maybe has built this kit, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, then building this one now today, now that it's been reprinted with the blue label on it, so make sure if you want to get one, make sure you get one with the blue label in the updated plastic for it. It feels so much better. So anyway, that said, of course, the actual molding of the kit has not changed at all, so there are still definitely some pros and cons with it. We'll go through all of that and the accessories, but of course, huge thank you to SA Gundam Store for their support for sponsoring this kit. So check out the link to their site down below and use that coupon code there, ZakuAurelius10, to save 10%. Now let's check out the kit. So first of his accessories here is, of course, the marking sticker sheet. As you can see, I used a good amount of them, but there's still a few left. Some kind of generic caution markings and a whole bunch of Titans test team logos there still left, but I did place some of them around here on the kit. A lot of them don't really fit quite right onto the space, so what I actually had to do, especially like for this one here, the big rabbit logo there, is anytime like the sticker was like going over the edge of a part, or like going up over the edge of there, is I just slice it really carefully with my knife. And that's just, I just put these stickers on just for the sake of the review, just so you guys can see how they look. But as long as they're on this like off-white plastic, they look fine. But anything on like the darker colors is probably not going to look as good. As for hand options here, it's a bit of a mixed bag, because here's what we've got. We've got a trigger finger hand over here for holding the rifle. Our other option is for holding the beam saber. We've got a beam saber specific holding hand, and both of them do look pretty nice. On the other side, we've got an open hand for the left hand, which is nice. One thing that I don't really care for a lot with the most high grades is that usually what you get with high grades is just two kind of standard holding hands, and that's it. So the fact that this has 3 hands is nice, and the fact that it has an open hand for the left hand is nice too. You can use it as like a rifle support hand, or just for like just resting down there like that. It looks pretty good. I will complain slightly about no other option for the right hand. If you didn't want to have it holding any weapons, you've only got weapon holding hands, and so if you want to just have an open hand or a closed fist or something like that, you're gonna have to look elsewhere. Then we got these little option parts here for the top of the torso there. You've got those yellow bits, the handles that fold out. You can use these, I believe, just little missiles instead. And of course, we just have the regular beam rifle here. There's no sticker for the camera on that, and it's all just molded in this dark blue color, so not really looking the best. It really would have been nice if this was just molded with the gray runner, I think. Would have looked a lot better. While the color straight out of the box leaves a little bit to desire, the detail is all there. It's a nice looking gun, the detail is good. The secondary handle on that does move up and down, but it can't move all the way straight down, strangely enough. So you just kind of have to keep that out to the side there. Then we've got the beam saber effect part here for the beam saber handle, which is stored up in the backpack. That just pulls out of there like that. Then we've got the standard shield here, which again, as you can see, the sticker on the dark plastic not looking as well, especially on this curved surface. It doesn't really want to lay flat on there. But otherwise, the design of the shield is cool. You have a connector here, which will allow you to plug that onto either the side or the back of the forearm. It just plugs onto here on the back of the arm like that. And there you go, it's on there, plenty solid enough. Our other option, however, is the booster shield here, which is pretty cool. You have some nice color separation with those yellow parts in there. This one just connects onto the arm the same way, but this one also has this little peg here, which will fold out to allow you to plug this onto his back as well. So the pod on his back here will extend out, and you can fold that back like so, plug this onto there. Now he's ready for cruising along there at high speed. So that is just if you didn't want to have it connected onto the arm. However, if you did just want to connect it onto the arm, you can do that as well. Now, unfortunately, we only have one connector, so you can't plug one onto the left side and one onto the right side, which really would have been nice. And you also can't plug them onto the same connector both at the same time. It's just not going to work on there. So you can't use both shields on the arms at the same time. You got to choose one or the other. The other disappointing thing about this kit is that there's no hole for plugging this onto an action base. Now, all you need is just a 3mm drill to just drill a hole into there, and then you can plug it onto whatever action base. But in the meantime, you have to use one of the fork adapters. But first, let's just take a look at some of the articulation here. But I guess before that, I should just mention about the foil stickers as well. We've got a foil sticker there for the eyes, this one on the top of the head that wraps all the way across the top of the head there. Background here on the backpack, this green foil sticker there, and then on the front of the legs, 2 more green foil stickers there. So not a whole lot in the way of stickers, but there are still a lot of little color apps missing from this kit. Little bits inside the vents and all this kind of stuff, so you will still have to do a good amount of painting if you want it to be looking accurate to its correct colors anyway. So let's talk about some of the articulations. So the head will go all the way up to there, which is pretty good, pretty nice upward look there, and then down to there, no big deal. Rotation, not a problem as well. As for the shoulders, those will extend forward to about there. You do have a seam line across the top of the shoulder there, with it being a 2005 high grade. Not a big surprise there. So forward and back motion of the shoulders, you got a little bit of that. The shoulder will move on its own up and down, but not really so much up. It's just kind of blocked there, so you can't really do a whole lot with that. Ultimately, you can only bring the arm up to about 90 degrees, so that's going to be the extent of that. Otherwise, the arm will just work normally. Rotation here at the top, double joint at the elbow, which is really nice. It's a really nice elbow joint, I'll give it that. And then just ball joint here for the wrist. As for the stomach section, it's just basically a ball joint between the top and bottom half of the kit, so you can kind of move this forward and back a little bit like so. And these thruster bells, every version of the Hazel that I've ever built, I always have this problem when I'm reviewing it. It's really hard to handle this kit without popping out these thruster bells on the back, so just be careful with those. Anyway, as for the stomach section, it's not a ball joint in there, it's just in a polycap that will allow you to rotate that a little bit forward and back, and if you kind of pull that up off the ball, if you pull that up off the peg a little bit more, you can get more of a stomach crunch there, but it is going to be kind of loose. It's not held on there super well. No side-to-side movement in there at all, of course, but you can rotate that a little bit side to side like so. Going down to, well, let's go back to the backpack here for a moment. As we saw, this pot up here at the top does move, but otherwise nothing else moves on that. But right, back to the skirts. So the front skirts are joined together. You can clip them in the center to separate them for independent movement like so. The side skirts also move up and down a little bit, but again, those are going to be running into the torso or the midsection there pretty quickly. But you can't really get the legs out that far anyway, so it doesn't really matter. That's the extent of how far you can extend the legs out to the sides. So the side skirts will move more than you need. That's all you need to know. The back skirts, while very nicely detailed, don't do anything, doesn't move at all. So the sideways spread of the legs there is pretty good, but let's check how far you'll be able to get them up to the front. You can get that all the way up to there, but obviously that huge giant knee is going to be a problem. So let's see if we bend the knee though. You do have about a 90-degree bend, maybe a little bit more, but not a full knee bend. But again, for its age, the knee bend is fine, and for the design. So you can get the leg up all the way to there, which I think is very fine, is really good. You really wouldn't need it to come up any too much farther than that. So knee bend is good. No rotation here at the top of the thigh, of course, as it's just a ball and socket joint there for the hip connection. Seam line down the middle of the thigh armor there. Also forgot to mention the seam line here on the forearm as well. You'll have that one there, as well as this part up here inside the shoulder. So not only the seam line through the outer shoulder armor, but this part at the top of the arm has a seam line through that as well. Anyway, back down here to the ankles, and those will move all the way forward to there. So very good forward movement there for those. Down to there, which is also pretty good. This ankle armor will move on its own a little bit, but it doesn't really do a whole lot. It's just kind of there. Side to side movement, you've got a good amount of that as well. It's not too bad. You can get it out to the side like that, so you should be able to get a pretty wide stance out of that if you wanted. So yeah, a couple of weak points of articulation and just the seam lines will definitely make you notice the age of this kit, I think, at some points, but the updated plastic for those joints definitely helps a lot. I mean, it may not seem like a big thing, but this kit does have so much more solid of a feel to it than the original Advanced Hazel I built. It must have been about a year or two ago now at this point. Now I did build the other Advanced Hazel just like last week, the P-Bandai one, and it was also pretty solid as well. But yeah, this one it just feels a lot nicer than I was expecting, so I'm really quite happy with it. Despite its few notable flaws, it does really have a lot going for it. The proportions are pretty nice. It does have a lot of nice detail on there, especially for a high grade. It's just one of the nice things about Advanced Zeta, the designs are really nicely detailed. And while I would have liked maybe one or two other different hand options for this, I think just the other weapons and accessories that this comes with, it comes with everything that you would expect. Again, one more shield connector would have been nice, but other than that, yeah. I mean, just having the two different shields, the beam rifle, the beam saber, I mean, everything that you could expect is all there. The color separation overall is pretty good. It's about as good as I would expect, especially for when this came out as a high grade. If this was a high grade coming out in 2019, probably maybe a little bit better color separation in some of the parts, maybe a couple of little vents or something like that would have been separate parts, little gray parts or something inside there for inside some of the vents in the shoulder or in the legs or something. I don't know, but for a 2005 high grade, it's fine. It's what you would expect for the color separation, and it looks pretty good even just straight out of the box. Do some panel lining on that, maybe paint in just a couple of little details here and there, and give it some top coat, and it's going to be looking good. And on top of all of that, and just once again coming back to the price of the kit, as I mentioned in the unboxing, the kit is cheap. You should be able to get it for around $15, which is great if you are planning investing in some of the P Bandai stuff like the Hurudu and the Primrose, and you might want to get more than one of these kits. At least the base kit is relatively cheap. Now the P Bandai stuff obviously going to be not so much, but at least the base kit is cheap, solid. I think it looks good. I'm pretty happy with this. So let me know what you guys think down below. If you guys have any other further questions or comments, of course, let me know there in the comment section. And just thanks so much for watching. Thank you to USA Gundam Store for their support as always. Have a great day, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.